and welcome to the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandon Schultz, and I am joined by a couple of my good buddies. We've got Adam Emmert, we've got Clinton Bonner as gentlemen. Happy anniversary to you. No, it's not an anniversary among the show. It is the anniversary, Clinton, of the play that we all know and cherish as Seahawks fans. It's the Beast Quake.
15 years later, the Beast Quake, we still feel the Beast Quake as 12s and Flockers and Seahawks fans. Guys, I live all the way over in Connecticut, the other side of the country. 15 years later, I'm still loving that play. Watched it, I don't know, 3 or 4 times today, Adam. Did you get your Beast Quake on the anniversary today?
Oh, I don't even need to go back and rewatch it because it's so burned into my memory that I can basically call it up and watch it frame by frame in my own mind. But it's an exciting time to be a Seahawks fan with the number 1 seed, a win over the stupid whiners, all of that good stuff. We've been talking about it all week, but I'm sure people are tired of listening to our blah, blah, blah and our thoughts on all this, Clinton. Mm-hmm. We've got a guest today this is his, 3rd or 4th time back with us, which is like spectacular. And I'm excited for it, man. Who we got?
Yeah, for sure. So let me just, we are queuing up. There we are. So we're going to be examining the run game. And look, it's not just a fluke that the run game has been coming on these last couple of weeks. And, you know, we as Seahawks fans and the way we do our thing, we're watching it, we're giving the best analysis we can. And we're like, hey, this is looking better. We think we have some reasons, but we have a amazing guest. And like you said, been on, think this is the 4th time.
Yeah.
Coach Derek of All 22 Films out there on YouTube. He's come back on. He just did an awesome breakdown. You see he's putting out a lot of Seahawks content. Remember, he covers like the Ravens, he covers the Lions, and he covers the Seahawks. Now he's a Ravens fan, so we could talk to him a little bit about the Harbaugh, exchange.
Just call it a firing. Call it a firing. There you go.
Okay. Letting go of Harbaugh, right? Yeah.
Extra facts, yeah.
But so he's covering the Seahawks even extra as we head into. So you see some of that stuff on screen there. But one of the videos he put out bottom left was a real nice breakdown of the 49ers attempts, let's call it that, to stop the Seahawks on the ground. So the ground game is swelling, Brandon, and I think we got the exact right guest on to help us break down why is this being so successful at the right time of year.
Yeah, we've had our theories, but, bring on somebody who breaks down tape and may be able to either support or maybe we're completely off. I think we're going to get confirmation one way or the other. And I'm looking forward to bringing him on. But you've got a couple other things just to cover before we get there?
Yeah, I mean, certainly go out to his YouTube channel there. You see it on screen and make sure you subscribe. Amazing video breakdowns and just one of the best out there for sure. And you'll understand why if you've never met Coach in a second. But also our YouTube, we're screaming, which is awesome. We careened over 6,000. Now we're well over 6,100. So you love us, you like us. Subscribe, hit the buttons, do all the things. It really, really helps. And hey, it's a magical season. Let's keep making it even better. And I do want to say, we're almost at 100 members out on YouTube, which YouTube is not our main membership channel, patreon.com at gettingtheflock.com. That's the main channel, but we're almost at 100. We're at 92 out on YouTube. So hey, if you got 8 more souls out there out on YouTube, you get some perks, you get some custom emojis, and you get some videos earlier than the average bear that'll, hit you as a member sooner than some of the other ones. So a couple of perks out there. So to the new members, the new subscribers, we say thank you. Make sure you get out to All 22 as well. But let's get the man on, Brandon. It is time. Let's bring on Coach Derek because we're going to look at some film and some delightful plays of Ken Walker and Charbonnet, Adam, gelling it down the 49ers' throats. What could be better?
It's beautiful. So let's bring on Coach DC. It's awesome having you back, buddy. Thank you so much for taking the time and educating us out here in the PNW. Appreciate it, man.
No, thank you guys for having me. Being back on a show the 3rd or 4th time, like I think Clinton said, sometimes a little rare. Like people will have me on once or twice and maybe be like, man, you're a little too harsh. Maybe with you guys, I just haven't had the opportunity to yet. But
we're unoffendable, Coach. We're unoffendable. You're good.
I know you guys are excited, and it's for different reasons. Different fan bases are excited at this time. You guys are A, in it, and B, the top seed. You get to host someone, whoever it'll be. I kind of hope it's not a divisional opponent again. I kind of would like to see someone outside. I don't know. We've seen 4 of them, right? 2 Rams, two 49ers. I kind of would like to see something different. But thank you guys for having me. You know,
Well,
congratulations also 6,000, YouTube subscribers. That's awesome. I mean, I get it, man. Every time you're creeping up to another number, you're hoping it goes by quickly, and sometimes it ends up being a real slow trickle. So I understand.
yeah, it comes in waves, right? And it's really fun and fulfilling when those waves are crashing, and it's a good thing. So you're mentioning the playoffs coming up. So before we look at some tape, and you're hoping that it might be a team that's not in our division.
Mhm.
Do you have some takes on what you're going to see in the wild card? What do you expect in the wild card? You know, we got what, Packers versus Bears. Yep, division rival right there, but that's interesting. Are the Niners really beat up as they head into Philadelphia? And do the Panthers stand the shot, maybe in the rain, versus these Rams who they've beaten already? So look, those are the permutations of who we could basically play. So what do you think might happen?
Be real interesting that 49ers and Eagles matchup, in my opinion, being as I think so 180 on the ground against San Francisco,
Yeah,
182.
something like that. Yeah.
So you would think Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts, what they ask him to do is very inconsistent every week. Some weeks they ask him to run the ball, some weeks they don't. Some weeks it doesn't seem like they want to attack down the field at all. I'm very interested in what the 49ers defense is able to hold Philly to. Because, reality is obviously Seattle's defense played incredible and kept getting the ball back to the offense, ran the ball really well. You only scored 13 points. It didn't translate to a ton of points. Now, do I feel like watching the game flow live and all 22? Do I feel like it looks like the type of game where you should score 24, 27 points? Absolutely, I did.
Only had to punt once and ran a bunch of plays. So yeah, that was some of the if there's anything to be frustrated about, I guess, coming out of the Niners game, that would be it. But when your defense puts up a showing like that, I think as a fan, you just get excited about the one thing and you go, oh, okay, well, Jason Myers had a bad day. The offense, they had the opportunity, but they squandered at least a potential fourth down at the goal line. And there were things that happened that ended up not mattering as much.
Makes me think about, kind of mentioned it to you guys, pre-show, but what the Seahawks offense has, I don't want to say evolved to, that's not the right word. There's a better word, but where it has kind of migrated a little bit, this, 171 average on the ground the last 3 games. I believe 170 against the Rams, 180 against the Niners, 2 division opponents who are obviously familiar with you. It's not like you played Carolina, someone that's unfamiliar. You have played them, but I mean, it's not like you dropped almost 200 yards on their head. It's not someone who is unfamiliar with you as an opponent. And so to me, that kind of speaks to the fact that right now this is real with the way that teams are probably managing risk against JSN. I think, quite frankly, that people have compensated to JSN somewhat over the course of the year, and that's maybe opened up some things more in the run game to be real general about it.
Yeah, so that's one of the things we've talked about a bit on the show, Coach. In one of my ideas, and not that I'm an expert at it, just being a fan, but it seems as if after about that Rams game, or maybe even the Vikings game, is when you kind of saw teams make that adjustment in regards to JSN and say, if you're going to beat us with the run game. And to me, I wonder, is it show up on tape that it's kind of a transition from a little bit more single high stuff to cover 2 stuff, or what is that like? 2 deep safeties? Or is that something you're seeing, or is it a different type of adjustment?
Yeah, no, I think that it's different from a play-by-play basis, but conceptually what you just described, I think is a good place to start. That there are definitely there's some accounting for JSN and where he is. What you guys don't need me to tell you, because the statistics show it, but in the slot as an X receiver, lining up in the backfield sometimes, I think he's had a borderline historic season. The only part that's missing there, I guess, is the high number of touchdowns that other receivers have put up, in certain years. But I think, I said this and Ravens fans didn't like it. I think he's the best receiver that I've seen on film this year. Granted, I've watched a lot of film. And for me to say that, you may not have any idea how highly I think of Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he's an amazing football player, and I think he's on a Hall of Fame track. But just based on 2025, for me, I would say JSN's the best receiver I've seen, with a nod to, Jamar Chase.
And I know that JSN had the most yards with basically per reception ever, right? So his 1,700 plus, almost 1,800 yards and 160 something targets. So like his targets and his receptions and his ratio was still all world, like you were saying,
Yes.
right? So just doing the most efficient that you possibly can do. And yet we have seen that bit of a balancing of the scales there, where it's the big plays have been taken away, or they're not as accessible the last 4 or 5, 6 weeks. But in lieu of that, the run game has taken its place. And on this show, you got 3 dudes, and Mr. Phil as well, for on other shows, that we like the run game. We like sustainable football, and we like it when we are chewing up clock, time, possession, et cetera, et cetera. So before we start looking at some film, Lisa in our Discord wanted to ask, like, just on the macro sense, what are you seeing does this feel sustainable heading into the playoffs? Is it a matter of the Niners are not very good at, defending the run, or doesn't really matter? This type of football is sustainable even as we go face maybe a better run D like the Eagles down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I think the answer I kind of gave it a little while ago. In terms of 2 of the most recent 3 opponents has been division opponents, and you still were able to generate a lot. But even if you backtrack further, I think the last 9 games is, I believe, 140 yards per game on the ground. Feel free to look that up. But that includes the Colts game, right? Where you only ran for 50 yards. So really, that 140 a game could probably, 146, 148, somewhere in there. Is it sustainable? Yeah, I think of those last 9 games, I believe 7 of them have been 125 yards or more. So if you're telling me that the floor for this run game is 125 yards, that puts you in a winnable situation no matter who you play the rest of the season. If you can get to 100, as long as it doesn't take 42 carries to get there. But I don't think Kubiak's the kind of guy. He's not Marty Schottenheimer. He's not going to run the ball 42 times for 125 yards. He likes play action. He likes to attack down the field, and I love it. I think it's a great fit, and teams have definitely adjusted to JSN and tried to close him off depending on where he's lined up. And I feel like Kubiak's play calling has taken advantage of that, especially recently. Charbonnet and Walker, they were fantastic against the Niners.
Yeah, well, interesting duo.
That's one of the things it's kind of interested us too, and maybe we'll get to it once we get into the film. But really, the Niners game was the first game. Like, we've had so many weeks of going back and forth. It's like, okay, this is the Ken Walker game, this is the Charbonnet game, and I haven't been able to really decide, and so I'm hoping maybe for a little help. If it's just how defenses approach this offense as to why K9 will have a better week, or why Charbonnet will have a better week, or if it's just, luck of the draw, luck of the play calling, because they have taken this approach that they're going to balance the carries between these 2 backs almost no matter what. Yeah. There did seem to be a pattern kind of emerge for me on the successful run plays against the Niners. And I, kind of alluded to you guys pre-show, and that's how we'll start here, is that Walker was his path was generally outside zone, but lead zone. Lead zone for me is a fullback leading the way for the tailback. And Charbonnet didn't get as many of those. Charbonnet was a little bit more downhill stuff. There's a wham trap play, which I don't know, how familiar you guys are with that terminology, but it's a cool play that they ran with Charbonnet in this game against the 49ers. I think it's the 4th play that I've got here. And so I do think there's some patterns that are there. What the percentage is, our defense is going to be able to, okay, Walker, he's in the eye. The tight end's over here. Okay, we think it's outside run over there. I will tell you that the 49ers guessed right against the run. I would say 5 or 6 or maybe even more times in this game that I was able to pick up on. And most of those occasions, it didn't matter. The Seahawks blocked it up, or Walker brought it back, which will be the first play that I'll show you here. Walker was able to bring it back against the grain of that pressure. And it's my contention that the successful things that we saw generally, other than the 3rd and 17 run for Walker, but that's an outside run, right? That's an outside run play. It's a pitch play. So my terminology is possibly different than what people see on Madden and NCAA. So feel free to interrupt me and call it whatever you wish. But I call this zone lead. Okay, so you got 21 personnel
for Seattle. And so with this being the tight end, the one in the 21 personnel group, I sometimes used to do this for athletes that I would draw. Like, hey, when we get a tight end, we're not always trying to run over there. Sometimes we're trying to run, over here and then leave this guy unblocked because he's got a longer distance to go. That's actually not the case here. This distance to this D end is tighter, partially due to the splits that the offensive line has taken. You can see that the splits here for these guys somewhat different than that split right there. Sometimes it's intentional. Sometimes those teams are doing stuff. Even high school teams will, cut their splits down for whatever reason. But we're leaving this guy unblocked on the backside. Theoretically, he's wider by one gap, because it's a three-man surface. And this is one of those situations where I think San Francisco, maybe they didn't know the play, but they knew which side it was coming to. Did you guys watch my video on this?
I did, yes.
Oh, yeah.
So he's stunting inside, so I won't belabor the point if you guys have already seen it. He's stunting inside, and you can see the safety show up from off screen. You will see the all-22 here in a minute. That's coordinated. That's not a guess. That's a check that's done by a personnel group in formation. The defensive coordinator, Salah, probably had a call in here for, okay, if they line up in empty, we run this. If they line up under center out of 21 personnel, we run this, which, most of the time, 21 personnel, when this guy's on the field, I pointed with the screen like you guys are in the same rooms as me. When this guy's on the field, they're going to be under center, right? So he probably had a primary, secondary call, and then there's probably some what's called automatics. An automatic is you see this formation, run this the first time. I doubt if that's what this is on automatic, but you can see the way that it works out. All 22, same play, ball's on the left hash, and the tight end is into the boundary, right? They bring it up here, and then Walker runs it all the way back. Why? Because the safety and the D end are trying, they're crashing the D end, running the safety up. So they're trying to get Walker to bounce it. Well, wouldn't you? That's kind of Walker's tendency, right? That's one of the things that he has done. So credit the Niners for being in a great situation from a preparedness standpoint, but Walker doesn't bounce it. He bends it all the way back after Oots picks up the blitzing safety, whatever you want to call it. It's a really nice design. Lead zone shouldn't necessarily go on this path after a while, but this guy's kind of making everything a little bit muddy by stunting inside. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's interesting that you point out the stunt inside then being intentional because you have the safety dropping in, and it almost seems a little with the fullback being there that then he'd be able to pick up that safety that's coming down on the blitz, and that it would leave the potential then of Walker getting outside there, but because the linebackers then are flowing to the left, that's where they're ultimately trying to make that tackle.
Yeah, they're trying to basically fit this linebacker between there. Is that showing up okay for you guys?
Yep, just off of the right tackle there.
In between them, people got different names for them, different concepts. So force player, B-gap player, the D end, and then this guy folding over the top. It's fine. People do it all the time. But Walker, credit to him for he's in a little bit more of cutback mode to me in this game, I think. And I think it's actually shown up a little bit more lately. It's almost like they've been starting him on a wider path as opposed to starting him on a downhill path and then him bouncing it outside, if that makes sense.
It does. And is that something that they would do maybe more often with zone concepts when they're running it outside, with the idea of being able to cut it back, if you get somebody sealed? Or are you seeing this kind of across the board, no matter what they're doing in terms of a run play?
Yeah, I mean, like the path that he's on here, I call it stretch, but, most people just call it outside zone. Fine. You're either going to hit it immediately. Well, you can't do that because the safety shows up, right? He gets directly in the path and then bend it, backside, or he actually kind of, I call it a wind back, when you wind all the way back to the other side. Some people say, you could bounce it as well. Usually in zone concepts, they're not given the option of doing either of the three. It's two of the three, either, bang it or bounce it, or bang it or bend it. Not necessarily giving guys a three-way go, but, it's a little bit of a argument among coaches sometimes. But yeah, I think it's more so the outside zone, the stretch. And that to me would be a Walker play. It's not that I don't think Charbonnet would be good at it. I think they should actually put Charbonnet in the eye behind Oots and run outside zone and see what the defense's reaction is. Basically, the previous play I showed you, what if they put Charbonnet back there and you never saw that safety blitz.
Mm.
Well, that tells you that they're doing different things
Right.
for Walker versus Charbonnet, which I'm sure Kubiak and his staff, if those things do exist, they absolutely know about it. That could be one of the things they've adjusted.
Though, Coach, that early on in the season, we had that question as fans because we were seeing a lot of Charbonnet outside zone, and we're kind of saying to ourselves, like, isn't this more of a canine type? Wouldn't you want to do that early on? And that's why I think we had some of the questions around the effectiveness of, are you trying to balance things out to keep teams honest, or are you just not sure exactly how you want to approach this?
Maybe they did that, what you just described, more earlier in the season, and now maybe they've settled on, okay, we're going to play to their strengths. It's entirely possible. I can't say one way or the other. I don't have every run play, tracked for 3 different teams. I wish.
We don't, and we follow this team full time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I just don't sleep sometimes. But same concept, 21 personnel. I don't know about you guys, but when I watch it live, I kind of try to guess, And keep in mind, this is right now we're going in progressional order, but once I get to the one-back stuff with Charbonnet, we'll kind of jump around. So this is the third possession. I believe the previous play was on the first possession that resulted in, no points, right? I hated that decision, by the way. So it's 21 personnel. As soon as I saw the tight end go across and wind up on the offense's left, it's easy for me to say this now, but the first thing I thought was the last time we saw this, the play I just showed you, it was weak side lead or lead zone. And I was like, I think that's what's coming, because it's to the field once again. Think about, I'll just backtrack. So, you got the same thing, ball on the left hash, tight end into the boundary. I'll go back one. Sorry if that was kind of staccato for you guys. Ball on the left hash, tight end into the boundary, right? Lead zone to the field. So you do get these things that happen in the course of a game that I don't want to say they're predictable, but it's difficult for people to recognize who've never had to make these decisions or recognize them, because it's like, I say it's like a movie that's got 3 or 4 storylines happening at the same time, and each personnel group is its own storyline. If that makes sense. And so, we're not talking about like Quentin Tarantino, catfish, but something that, in the end, those personnel groups may or may not converge near the end of the game. This is the same thing, right? And the 49ers try to get Sam linebacker and a D end to the tight end side. I think they play this pretty bad, in my opinion. Jones gets up. This is when Jones gets up to the safety.
Oh, yeah. Where he's out in space and he doesn't even have anybody to block.
Yeah. And I thought Sundell and Zabel did a great job of getting up to the second level really quickly, in fact. Could they use an upgrade at the center position from a pure talent standpoint? Absolutely. I think, we got to be honest. But the ability to get out in front quickly for Sundell and combo with Zabel, that's one of the things he's pretty good at sometimes. I really like him in that regard. I think it's him out in front here.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's also, we had that Oluwatimi kind of break in the, whatever you want to call it, like 2/3 of the way through the season when Sundell dinged his knee, right? And there was debate in the Seahawks circles, like, well, how does it look better? Who looks, who might retain this? And we were debating, hey, well, Oluwatimi now, Wally, Pip, Sundell. And I remember, Brandon, you were like, no, I don't see it. Like, you were pretty steadfast to be like, no, I don't think Oluwatimi did anything outrageous to say he's got to play. And then when Sundell got back in there, Coach, it seems like week after week, sans that Indianapolis game, it's just been the steady climb that you've been noticing too.
Competition.
It could be, right? It absolutely could be. But we all agree with the fact that, like, when you get those guys in space, Zabel and Sundell, that's where they're certainly most effective by far, right?
Yeah, you can tell the difference with, like you said, when Jones got out in space, it was a little, like, okay, can you just keep on that track? Just run forward, and we'll adjust off of you. I like this stuff for Walker. I'd like to see it with Charbonnet too, but I really like it for Walker. Like, let him follow the fullback for a certain amount of time, whatever that time is. Sometimes you coach athletes differently, and you're going to carry for, a second and a half, and then you're going to make your cut, and we'll trust you with our cut. I trust him. Like, I just watching him, like, I know there's been questions before about, does he bounce stuff too much? I really like him on lead zone stuff with the fullback in front of him. I have no idea what the yards per play are. He looked, maybe it's recency bias because he obviously looked really good against the 49ers.
It's definitely been coming on. Now that we're watching this play back over again, though, gosh, if Oots stays on his feet, that's potentially a touchdown because it's that group of guys that he goes into to block, falls down, and then it's one of those guys that comes out of that group to take Walker down from behind. But
so the 49ers, I think, are playing under front. So what an under front is kicking the D tackle into a 3 technique to the weak side, away from the tight end. Okay. And versus an over front where this D tackle would be shifted over into the A gap. Make sense so far?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
And then this D tackle who's like more so like a 2-eye right now, but let me do this from the end zone angle. Sorry. So an under front typically is a 1, a 5, and a 9 to the tight end side. And then a 3 and a 5 weak. It's my opinion that, again, this is third possession. I think the 49ers are in an under front. They've set the 3 technique away from the tight end because the last time we saw this formation, 21 personnel with a tight end into boundary, where they run the football here.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to clog it up, somewhat conceptually similar to the way they clogged it up with, remember, the DN stunted to the inside and the safety came off the edge. Well, they don't need to do that now. Why? Because the defensive tackle's already in the B gap. They don't need to stunt someone there.
So they're like you said, they're there foundationally. They're in the right position. So this wins so effectively just because the execution is that much better.
These 2 guys right here, Zabel is able to take over that nose tackle. Talking about right here, I'm calling him the nose tackle.
Yep.
And then because I think Zabel and Sundell, because they played so long together, I think they played 2 years together in college, right? Or maybe was it 3?
it was at least 2.
Yeah, at least 2. Yeah.
I mean, watch how he takes this over. I'll rewind it multiple times, and watch how there's no help from Sundell at all.
Oh, yeah.
Why? Wow. He knows Zabel's going to do it.
And that really does seem to be Zabel's superpower, right? Is his feet and his get off at the beginning of each play. Because, well, a lot of Seahawks fans are looking at Zabel this year and they're like, yeah, that's great. Sometimes he gets a little overwhelmed with power. It's like, well, maybe that'll come later on. But it's this stuff with his feet that really makes him special.
Super athletic. And I feel like this is exactly what you saw in his college film. Sometimes I think it's overcomplicated by NFL front offices. I'm glad for you guys that, they didn't, because him and Tyler Booker are different guards, certainly, but you could just watch the film of them in college and say they're going to succeed. Another reason why this succeeds offensively is because of what you got here. There's, it's a boot. Okay, so you got Walker and then the potential of the boot, right? You want someone to be on the boot or at least holding for it. Here they've got 2 guys outside of the tight end. Theoretically, one of them, the outside guy, could be responsible for Darnold if Darnold boots it out. And then this guy should be trying to fold or fight inside. Really, really bad job. I hesitate to try to criticize NFL players sometimes. Maybe his alignment is a little too wide, but you got the same concept. Look at what these 2 do versus those 2. It's the same thing, right? Sundell and Jones moving up immediately. They don't help out at all. Zabel takes that guy over. It's called a scoop. 81 takes that guy over. It's called a scoop. It's the same concept, right?
I could watch this all day.
Yeah. All right. So here's a question for you, Coach. So we're looking at this lead zone stuff here from Walker with Oots in there, and we see.
Sorry, I was just remarking how bad that was. Again, I do not enjoy criticizing NFL players. I don't care what team they play for, because some coach along the way coached them in youth football in high school and college, and some coach could be listening, and I feel like it's disrespectful to point guys out. So sometimes I'm glad you can't see the jersey number. Go ahead. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm with you. I have a little less hesitancy being able to criticize guys, but that's just because I'm a catfish. But at the end of the day, so we're looking at this zone lead stuff here. And we see that this is Kubiak's answer or one of his answers from the switch from earlier offense in the year. So in the playoffs, if we're running this sort of look and the defense gives you a completely different look to try to stop this, what would be the counter that Kubiak could run out of this formation? Like, what sort of plays would we be looking for if they dropped like another guy down in the box or whatever it is that a defense would do to try to nullify this?
Yeah. No. First of all, great question. I mean, I'm the same way, that I'm a jerk, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm old, But I think, just like I said about each personnel group and formation is its own like storyline within a game, it can also be so over the course of a season. So like I felt like earlier in the year, this is probably an overgeneralization. I felt like 12 personnel under center was Kubiak's like go-to play action stuff. Especially what I call ace, where there's a tight end to the right, tight end to the left, under center. That to me was his go-to. I'm attacking you deep. I feel like 12 personnel earlier in the year, under center specifically, Kubiak kind of scared people into not doing what you just described. Meaning, okay, I'm willing to attack you deep here and kind of max pro to get it done. So bring pressure if you wish. We're going to get the one-on-ones that we like down the field. So I like to separate things into personnel groups because I think that's what these guys do. 21 personnel to me did not seem to be Kubiak's preferred manner, his preferred platform of going play action and throwing down the field. I actually kind of answered your question in a video I did. Might have been this video. I would expect to see 21 personnel under center play action early in a game in the division round. That would be my answer to that. Probably too simple.
No, I got a quick follow-up though. That might be illuminating a little bit. So earlier in the season, when we're in 12 personnel, a good chunk of time, Elijah Arroyo's out there, who is a seam stretcher, field stretcher type guy. He goes down. He goes on the IR. And then we morph a little bit into 21 and less 21 for play action and less 12 to get the threat that you were saying about earlier. Well, Arroyo just came off of IR and he's probably tracking to play in the divisional round after the bye.
Yep, great point.
Do you think that was maybe the catalyst for Kubiak because he is that type of talent with his speed?
Gives him more options. It gives him that option. He could present you with both. I mean, is it Saulbert or Saulbert? How do you pronounce it?
Saulbert. Yeah,
Saulbert. So, well, I mean, this play that's queued up isn't my answer to your question, but it's kind of illustrative that Barner's not on the field.
No,
and
you
Barner's
have
clearly,
Cup and Bobo are the two receivers. It looks like.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a pre-snap tell to some of the stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't throw on this play either.
From a personnel standpoint, absolutely. Yeah. So
are those pass catchers too white for you, Brandon? Is that what the problem is here?
There's like zero speed on the field, is what I'm saying outside.
Yeah, like I said,
if I'm a
white.
defense, I'm like, I'll just sit on the short stuff where I can cover these guys. That's no problem.
I actually feel like, I'll be honest with you, this might be a minority opinion. I actually feel like Bobo with more snaps and more opportunities could absolutely be a 40 catch per season guy with 4 or 5 touchdowns. I think he has that talent level. Could he play with the same level of ferocity if he played 50, 55 snaps a game? He may not be able to. Who knows? Because that's just human nature. But I actually like him. I mean, the stuff he done in the preseason.
Oh, we like him. Yeah.
He's sick.
Oh, everybody loves Bobo.
Yeah.
So the last one for eye backfield stuff, I know I'm probably moving slow, sorry, is actually not a weak side run. But notice again, out of 21 personnel, where's the tight end set now? So it's oftentimes when you only have one tight end on the field and then a fullback, you got some real kind of pre-snap indicators. Tight end is set to the field. So this is what I call pin pull toss. And so I'm very particular about which one I use because toss is when the quarterback reverse pivots like Darnold is now. So Darnold is turning counterclockwise. If so he's opening his body away from the directed path of Walker. You guys don't have to use this terminology, but I refuse to not speak in this way. Versus if it was pitch, Walker would be opening to it. Okay, so that's the difference between this play and the pitch that's on 3rd and 17. But really amazing job of blocking all game long. These dudes got out on people. It did seem like specifically more outside stuff to the right, whether the tight end was there or not. All 3 plays that we've shown you here, right, have been to the right. The first 2.
We were missing our left tackle, Charles Cross. So with Jones out there, they may have favored the right.
And I've been impressed with what Jones been able to do. You know, I saw him play in Baltimore, and I worried about long-term exposure like this, and stood up. I love this, man. They seem to be really, I don't know how they coach it, during camp and during the season. They seem to be really good at these kind of delayed doubles on guys. Whether it's intentional or not, I can't prove it, but it happens often enough with Seattle film. So what I'm talking about is, we'll backtrack a little bit. This block here.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Lucas on him first. So Lucas is like releasing up, and I initially think I had the line drawn to this guy. That's not who he's going to get. Think about what Walker's doing, right? Walker's going here, so that means this guy's going here. So Lucas's path, he's not going to get to this linebacker. He's going to get to that guy. That makes sense, right? Yep. So they're just really good at this. They're really good at this year, and I don't know what other teams. The Lions in 2023 seem to be really good at this stuff. The Rams are like almost always good at this stuff. 49ers too. These kind of like blocks with one player engaging, and in this case, it's the fullback is this. I believe it's the fullback, the second guy getting there, and Walker just super talented. This is what he's done his whole life with the football in his hands, is run and then get 5 yards when he should get 3, or get 7 yards when he should get 4. And they block their ass off. Those guys at receiver especially. And then this, man, you guys understand obviously why I'm stopping the film every like 5 or 7 seconds, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yes, 1,000%.
So this is what they've done all year long. I don't know if it was week 1 or week 2. They just finished the play. Play's not over yet. They just keep driving. That's a mentality thing. And when you see it, when you're getting ready to face a team, no matter what level it is, and you see this show up 2 or 3 times in one game, you're like, okay, we're going to have our hands full. We're going to have to play. They play extremely hard. They block well, and it doesn't seem to matter whether Walker or Charbonnet is on the field at all. I think they're well coached.
I love it. Yeah, seeing the effort here at the end is cool to see. And you got another Sharps play lined up here.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm excited to get on to the next one.
Show us more domination, Coach. Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're picking and choosing here. There's a couple of I think there's 3 downhill run calls that I didn't like very much. One of them's on a 3rd and 2. Not this one, obviously. This is a touchdown by Charbonnet. And it's a downhill run concept. It looks like duo to me, and it's Charbonnet. And twice already they had run duo, and it wasn't successful. And it seemed to me, it was frustrating. It might have been 3rd quarter. Maybe it was 4th. I'm not sure. What? Why are you calling this again? It's been unsuccessful on 2nd and 2. The previous snap, that was frustrating. But overall, man, awesome run game. So did you guys have that kind of feeling at all during this game, or no? Maybe I'm just being too picky.
Not for me. This game, I didn't have that feeling, because this to me felt you came back on after, remember the Kansas City preseason game, and you joined us after that game. We were like, whoa, this looks amazing. If we could do this team has a legit shot to win the division. We were saying that back in the Kansas City preseason game.
Absolutely.
But then it didn't look like that for a while though, Coach. It took almost an entire season to kind of get back to that. And this Niners game felt like that Kansas City preseason game to me. So I didn't see it that much as you're saying it, but throughout the year for sure, there'll just be these, we'll look good for a couple drives, and then we'll just hit these doldrums for whatever reason. They get the Rams game, we make that big comeback, and then we get it to 30-30, and then it's just like we just stall out for the last 3 drives before overtime. It's like, why? What happened there? We were on fire. So I didn't see it here, but definitely feel what you're getting at. Have felt it.
I guess it's just the type of play concept. And what I'm proposing, or what I think could be wrong, is that the play calls, the successful ones at least, were a little different, but they're also very smart, depending on which back is in the game. They really manipulated the Niners here. Again, it's a 3rd and 2. It's the first touchdown. So I think this is Renardo Green. I've tried to draw my little, rectangular prism here. Mm-hmm. Renardo Green, I think, following Kupp across the field, so they know they've got man. And it's just, how hurt is Barner, or was he, leading into this game?
How what?
I don't
how
think
hurt?
Barner was hurt.
No, he was
Yeah, I
okay.
think he was fairly healthy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was under the impression that something was wrong with him. I saw a couple of things where it looked like, he wasn't totally healthy, but I thought this was a great effort here, what I was preparing by asking that question was giving him more credit for being able to block. I think this is second possession after you didn't score, obviously, on the first.
Right.
It's a really bad job, man, by the boundary side inside linebacker. If you're in man and you don't have any corner, to the boundary, this is the outside corner.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind the NFL hashes are tight. You're talking about 18 feet 6 inches, so they're very, very tight. You cannot get out leveraged by the running back. And again, I don't enjoy criticizing NFL players that are way better coached than I'm ever able to do. But that's the boundary side inside linebacker. That's Zach Charbonnet's helmet. It should the relationship should be the opposite. You know what I mean? Into the boundary. Just can't happen. It's over. It's easy. That really was easy. In my opinion, given, Barner's block. Cool moment, though, right? How many touchdowns he got this year? Is it 11?
That was
12.
12? Yeah.
Yeah, he's
12.
had a lot, but this, I think, was, in terms of touchdowns over 20 yards for Charbonnet, it may have been his second or third. Like, he does not get a lot of 20-plus yard touchdowns.
Seems like more, I would say, inside zone stuff with Charbonnet was successful in this game. I'll show you a wham trap here in a moment. This is the same play from the all 22. Charbonnet, a Cup down bottom, going to motion across. And the communication, they're trying to communicate here. They can't, well, they do, successfully get Renardo Green all the way across there. But I was just never a huge fan of not having anyone to the outside. It just scared me too much. And it would scare me to death if you had all this space from the hash to the sideline. It's more room there. Literally, it's more room there than it is in any other level of football.
So when Charbonnet starts out this run, and it is a run that starts to the right, as soon as he sees that guy in motion, is he thinking in his mind then, I'm going to put my foot in the ground and cut back because he knows he has all that open space?
Yeah. These guys have such complicated calls in the huddle. The two play calls and an automatic. If they see a certain thing, you never know how many pieces of information are in these guys' heads. But it certainly seems to me like, how quickly he cuts it back. It's a pretty good job, I think, back here by Jones.
Mm-hmm.
It's a defensive end who's kind of kicked down. So when I say kicked down, the defensive end would normally be like with his feet here, but they've taken the safety. I think that's Jair Brown, the Penn State guy, who's walked down. And so they've kicked the defensive end further, that way, further towards the top side of the screen. So I feel like San Francisco has really kind of opened the door here and said, come in the house and rob us. This is really set up for Charbonnet, he earned it. He made the read. It seems to me that this is probably manipulation by Kubiak, as in, okay, if we go 11 personnel, which is what this is, right? You've got JSN, Shaheed, and Cup on the field at the same time. What does that look like to you? Looks like a pass play, right? Now on 3rd and 2, then they're going to call man, respond with a one high safety look. So many people think, one high safety look, that's the way to stop the run. Not always, not necessarily, especially if you move the boundary side corner over, you're really stressing the backside of the defense. And, Seattle took it. I think it's a great play. I don't mean to minimize it from a Seahawks perspective, and that don't have anything to do with talent, whether it was first, second, or third string guys on the field. That's just alignment and responsibility. I think you've got to give credit to Kubiak and the offensive staff for creating that situation. They're in the perfect play call for the defensive structure that San Francisco offered. Well, we think that's a coincidence?
No, they're geniuses, and they've got a mole inside of the 49ers building. I'm convinced. But we're seeing some of these zone concepts here, Coach. And when we're looking at the improvement of the run game over the last few weeks, and as you've looked at the film, are they majoring in any one type of run, or you talked about having a different style of play, maybe queued up for the next one as well? Or do you see some variation there, or is it more like, hey, it's this zone stuff that's hitting, they try to sprinkle in some other stuff to keep you honest? Or is it, they're kind of hitting on 3 or 4 different concepts here?
Seems to, just off the top of my head, and again, there was a time, I think 2023, I tracked every Ravens offensive snap and every Lions offensive snap, and I could I could give you that data. I had a database that could do it. I just don't have the ability to do that now. It's just too many children in my household, number one, and number two, too many teams, too many things I'm trying to do. So I wish I could answer using data there, but
I'll take your gut. Yeah.
I'm just going to answer off the top of my head. I think it's opponent specific.
Okay.
More so than conceptual. And I'm willing to be wrong there. There might be data out there that people can find that, is supports or refutes that. It seems to me that Kubiak appears to be a guy who knows where to attack, but even more important, where to attack when.
Coach, I know we're gonna look at this Wham play, and I don't think we'll
go
get.
back?
No, it's okay. I don't think we're going to get to the one I want to ask about, which is totally fine. But you talk about attacking and like when to attack. Seattle had some really successful screens in this game too. And in the video that everybody should go check out on your channel, we don't got to go into it now because you do a great job breaking down a little like screen to the left-hand side with Walker.
Yeah, that was
But
awesome.
again,
Great
it's
play.
my son was sitting in the room and I was like, and he doesn't watch a lot of football. I'm like, dude, that's a screen. I was like, so when you see, it looks like a jailbreak and all this, because it happened to us all these years. We've been very unsuccessful at getting beautiful screens that like, it looks like a jailbreak and then you get the perfect little screen pass, right? Is that, I know it's Kubiak at the right time, pulling the right string. Well, how does the run game set up successful screens though? Like how do they marry? What should like the average fan who's watching understand how those two kind of play with each other?
I feel like first piece of that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with Kubiak. I feel like Darnold's approach to handing the ball off looks extremely similar, whether he's handing it off, whether he's going to fake the handoff and go and play action, or whether some guys prepare the ball. So some guys prepare the ball because they know they're going to throw. There's a slight variation in, I'm not smart enough to teach guys how to recognize it. And I'm not saying that guys actually do recognize it on the field. Some don't, and then screens. I feel like Darnold makes everything look the same for the first, 1.7, 1.8 seconds. If you did a cut up, it takes a long time to do this, but sometimes you do this with athletes. Like you cut up the play, but you stop it after 1.8 seconds. Let's just watch 10 of his get-offs, the quarterback's get-off or getting out of there. And then we number them 1 to 10. All right, what do you think? We don't see the rest of the play. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Now, what do you think, guys? All right, write down your answers. Number 1, run. Number 2, pass. Number 3. And some athletes, I should say, could pick up on it. Oh, he's moving the ball already so he can get it in position. So, number 1, I feel like Darnold's really good at not giving anything away. Number 2, I do feel like Kubiak is a 2nd and 8 screen guy. I think that I perceive that. That's just my brain. Again, I don't have a database to support that, unfortunately, but it does seem like a higher propensity of the screens go to their left, and I don't know why that is.
Cool. Good stuff to watch as we as we get into the postseason. I know you had this Wham play you wanted to highlight. This is a pretty cool concept. Why don't you tell us what we're looking at?
Yeah, man. Sorry, my answer wasn't that.
No, it's good. I just wanted to kind of poke at that a bit because we haven't had a successful screen game in many, many years, and now, and even earlier in the year, Coach, it really wasn't there. So to start to see that come along as the run game is maturing, I just didn't know if there was a correlation there that was worthy of poking at.
Could be more reps. Could be some guys do a dedicated screen period. Some guys only do their screens one quarterback at a time. We're looking at it. We got a good view here. So some guys do their screens and they got one quarterback and running back here on the left hash and they're screening to the left. And then they got one quarterback and running back on the right and they're screening to the right. So they're getting maybe not twice as many reps. They're getting more reps, number 1. Number 2, I think it also helps to have this guy, and that could be why more of your screens are to the left. Because
I thought maybe we exercised like a franchise curse, but it could be Gray Zabel.
What's interesting that you guys say that, and I had no knowledge of that before this evening. The Ravens fans and myself, we had the same dynamic. Dating back like 6-8 years before Todd Monken showed up as our offensive coordinator in 2023. Our screens were horrible to the point where it's like, why would you even call one?
Same.
And And then Todd Monken shows up in 2023, and there's this really versatile, effective screen game that looks smooth. And so what you're saying is you guys have gone through the same process, it sounds like.
Even this season, we've said that. Why would you run a screen? And then more toward the second half of the season, as we've seen them work, it's like, oh, they figure something out.
Yeah.
Could be the instruction, could be getting more practice reps. It could be also, like I said, you run more screens to the left because that guy is obviously 2 or 3 levels more athletic than that guy.
Yep.
And so normally on a screen, you're going to pass set the tackle to get somebody to come upfield, and then the guard's going to be the guy that releases. So that could obviously be why it's up there mostly to the left.
Cool.
Sorry, man. I know you guys probably got less time than I do.
No, it's great. It's hey, we're asking the question, so we appreciate it.
This is one of my favorite concepts. I don't know that it falls into, what is it? Is it zone? Is it gap? There's certainly no pulling linemen. So wham trap can't be considered gap, like power, counter, or kick. Do you call it zone? I don't. I think it's its own entity. If you guys have a different opinion, that's fine. Some people disagree, but basically we're leaving this defensive tackle unblocked, and you got to have a fullback or a tight end who can get this done, right? And you guys do. You got more than one. You got 2 or maybe 3. I think the level of detail here is really cool to think about. So, Oots is trapping the D tackle. You can see this defensive, watch his helmet. You can see his recognition.
He's watching Zabel's feet there.
Yep. Some guys read feet. Some guys read the nearest number, hip, whatever it is, you can see that he recognizes it now, right? Because he's now looking out to Oots, but it's too late. But it's the key. It's the fact that Zabel is moving down. It's like a string. He's pulling him with him, and that just opens him up.
It feels a little zone-ish, right?
Yeah, exactly. It opens him up. Boom. And it's not perfect, but I think Cup's, Cup, it ain't just Cup and it ain't just Bobo. I felt like multiple guys were trying to block well. And I do remember this block earlier in the season. I don't remember what 2-game stretch it was. Might have been Tampa Bay. And so I do remember this block being like totally missed. And it could be because the safeties were, down more. I think it's Jair Brown who's close. But look at the little cut, man, that Charbonnet gives you. Boom.
It's not that great of a block either there, Coach.
No. But I'm saying that the safeties were through.
Yeah.
Like they were, getting through. I think it's interesting, the dynamic with Charbonnet. We're getting a lot of this starting off downhill and then bouncing it outside versus Walker. We're getting a lot of this starting it off outside and then bringing it back. It's a cool play. I think it only goes for like 6 yards. I love Wham trap. I've done multiple videos on it because it doesn't fit, into any category. From an inside linebacker standpoint, you're not getting this clear look at what you're getting. You're getting this guard down here, this tackle out here. It's not a pull read. Is it zone? How do you read it? So it's a lot of fun to talk about that concept and all the different variations. But it's normally a quick hitter, downhill. In this case, Charbonnet bounces it.
Got a question for you here, Coach. Oots has been he had an injury mid-year, and his snaps have been increasing as well down the stretch, but he's yet to have a touch this year. Is this the type of concept where you could see Kubiak pulling a string later where they do a wham concept here, but maybe Oots blocks, but then he's like, if Sam were to boot to the right and kind of leak out and nobody's on Oots because he has no catches the entire year, is there a possibility from this formation to get Oots involved in the pass game?
From this formation, yes. I've never seen a fullback play action off of wham trap. But that's just
we're innovating here, Coach. That's what we're doing. Look at this.
Clinton just wants to get Oots a reception for his bets every week.
Putting it into the universe here. I just want this to happen. That's all.
Didn't he have a catch in the preseason?
Preseason, yes, but no, okay. He doesn't even have a target in the regular season.
It was out here in the left flats, I think.
Yeah, nice smooth hands too, man. He looked good.
Something like that. He had some good catches in college, if I recall,
Yes,
unless I'm
he
thinking of a
sure.
different player.
No, you got him. You're right.
No, I
Okay.
mean, like, certainly, hey, it's Clint Kubiak. There's no he could figure out and scheme a way to block down on that guy with him, and then have someone else loop around, take the guy over, and Ooch slip out there. But that's
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Coach. Now you're
I've
with
never
me. There
seen
you
it. I never seen it. But if we do, then I'll make
go.
sure to shout you out on it.
We'll call it the Clinton special.
There we go. That's it. Perfect.
I like Ooch's skills. I thought it was a good pick. I thought you guys know. I thought the draft was great.
Yeah,
I said it. I think you guys did too. I do love the under center stuff from 21 personnel. I think you're going to see more, play action here soon out of 21 personnel. Do you guys want to talk about the 4th and 1 on defense? I think what bothers me about this is that I have no idea how Mike Macdonald, Aiden Durday, and the defensive staff knew that on 4th and 1, the 49ers are going to throw the football. And some of your listeners or watchers might be like, how do you know that they knew? Well, look at the personnel group. I think it's 22. I think this is the fullback, whose name I should know how to pronounce consistently because he started off with the Ravens.
Use check.
Yeah. And then 2 tight ends. So it's 22 personnel, 4th and 1. And the 49ers, go play action. Seattle happens to be in their goal line look, but it's a too high version of the goal line look. I don't think it's a coincidence that on 4th and 1, when the 49ers throw the ball, the fullback kind of blocks Emanwari, which is amazing that you can just, hey, Nick, go play edge defender on this goal line look.
Yeah.
And then next play, I want you to cover Christian McCaffrey on a run play. Yeah, that's not normal.
I don't know why we waited to the second round to get him after watching this year, to be honest.
Been fantastic. One of those guys that you feel guilty watching film of because you're like, oh, even if he's making a mistake, it's still like there's still some really good stuff there. But it's like a play action breaks coverage structure. So if we're supposed to have, let me pull this a little bit, flat defender, this looks like Witherspoon is supposed to be in the flats, but it's play action, right? So it breaks structure. If you're supposed to have, let's say, a hook dropper there, I don't think so here necessarily. It ends up being what looks like a 2 deep, 3 under. And it wouldn't surprise me if Mike Macdonald says, hey, we're going to play our goal line look and play 2 deep, 3 under. I don't have the guts or the balls to ever play 2 deep, 3 under, but he does. It's entirely possible that that's what he called. It almost ends up being a pick here by Woolen. I know you guys are talking about the hit by or hits by Lawrence, right?
Yes. Yeah. We were focused on Lawrence breaking through and then getting through the chop block to disrupt this whole play. But you're taking this to a whole nother level, which we love.
Unbelievable, man. And he's been great.
Change the direction on Woolen too, because it looks like he is watching Purdy's eyes and that Purdy's getting pressured there. And so it looks like he's going deep. And then as soon as Purdy starts to throw, he just switches directions and is on McCaffrey.
Rare to see this stuff with Seattle's defense this year. Rare to see that, but you do have some conflict on. I think that's Okada. He's got the route. It's basically 3 routes from the same side. Is it Love?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. He's to the field. Normally Okada is to the boundary and Love is to the field. But it's 3 routes from the same side. Here's 2 of your routes. Here's the 3rd one. So if you're playing 2 deep, 3 under, simply from a number standpoint, you don't have the guys, right? So, maybe it wasn't supposed to be 2 deep, 3 under. Maybe there's supposed to be someone else here, but they went with play action. But I don't think so. There's just nobody who would be there. It wouldn't be Nick. It wouldn't be any of the interior defensive linemen. I love Seattle's goal line look. Have you guys talked about it much on your show?
No.
It's a cheat code. These 4 guys in here, and then the 2 edge defenders, all they're doing conceptually is just making it to where your inside linebackers can fit, very similar to what we talked about earlier, the first play, right? The safety coming down, the DN stunting B, and then the inside linebacker fitting between them. That's really conceptually similar. The only difference is normally this guy is up here too, and they just happen to be in the perfect look, for a play action. I'm just amazed. I told you guys pre-show, it actually annoys me that he's always in the right call.
He does talk about, though, that he does make the wrong calls, and sometimes it's the guys on the field that help him out a little bit too. So
that's him
fun to
just
watch
blowing
him.
smoke since he's got his tells or whatever it is. And I'm not gonna lie, Coach. Thank you for letting us have Mike Macdonald. Like we're really happy with him, and we're enjoying the time.
Yeah, man, you should. I mean, I think I knew when he came to Baltimore in 2022. It was probably like week 8 or 9. You were like, okay, he does things to people's offenses, from a yards per play standpoint, from a yards per pass standpoint. And this year, number 1 against the run. And then that's a huge problem for your offense if you can't run the ball at all against them. So,
I know welcome. We had. Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. And hands off Clint. He's still ours. You guys can't have him, just so you know. But we did have somebody in our Discord, Coach, ask, I think it was Bunny, asked, is there any defense here in the playoffs that the Seahawks could potentially face that you think would have a really good shot at slowing this run game down at this point?
I think the Houston Texans and the Seahawks are the 2 defenses that I see that are the most consistent every week, but the Eagles have got to be put in there as well. Even though maybe the numbers aren't the same for the Eagles statistically in the data, I feel like their experience and who they've got running the defense, I feel like they've got the ability in a playoff situation to play to the same level as the Seahawks and the Texans. Who am I missing? Defensively?
I don't know. I just know I hate that answer because now am I a Niners fan this weekend? Like, gross.
Who else am I missing?
Right? Broncos, right? Broncos a sack in the world, right? So
absolutely.
What are they, 63 sacks, I think is what they ended up with. They kind of lapped the field there. So
they got a great fans staff. Seem to tell us that they have a good defense, but I don't know.
They got a great staff in there in Denver. Vance Joseph is the defensive coordinator, and then the pass game coordinator is Jim Leonard, who was the DC at Wisconsin and played in the NFL, played for the Ravens. He'll be a defensive coordinator in the NFL at some point.
Nice.
Well, Coach, really want to thank you for coming on and breaking down some of these plays. It's always fun to get your perspective as we go through it and watch some tape. And the All 22 YouTube channel. If people haven't found it yet, I feel like with our audience, like we've promoted enough, they should be able to find you by now. But anywhere you want to send them, anything that you got coming up that you want to pitch to our audience?
I had a video that I wanted to get out on the Seahawks defense Sunday night. And of course, been a little busy with Baltimore Ravens stuff. I think maybe Monday night actually is the evening that I had set aside. And, we as fans knew, how do I say this? The silence, the lack of any information coming out on Monday was, attention getting. We're like, okay, it seems like there's some space here that's going to be filled at some point. And by Tuesday, all bets were off for me. I had an Aiden Hutchinson video lined up. I had a Jared Goff video lined up. Seahawks defense. None of that shit has gotten done.
Well, definitely good luck on your, you being a Ravens fan. Good luck on replacing Harbaugh, who's obviously 18 years in and got you the chip and has been a very, very successful coach. So we'll have a lot of eyes on that as well. Because
my vote will be Flores.
Okay, there you go. You want Flores for that second go around. And we were talking just the other day. I think it was you, me, Brandon, I think we were saying, like, will the success of Mike Macdonald kind of usher in the era potentially of going back to, we want a defensive minded guy. Now I realize Flores got his crack, went to Miami, didn't work out that first time around, went back in Minnesota and, just caused all sorts of havoc. But I do wonder that if more teams, it is teams chase other teams and they chase trends. And I get the feeling that teams are going to try and chase defense, emphasizing D again. So, and to hear you say it, that's pretty cool, right? Because
my suspicion is my suspicion is it's going to be Minter or Weaver, who was our D-line coach. My suspicion is they're waiting to see what the Chargers do, and they're interviewing these guys now to get, cut that down to maybe 3 or something like that. Do another set of interviews with 3 guys. It is very telling to me that the only organization that requested officially to interview Flores was the Ravens. I don't think that's an accident, in my opinion. I could be wrong. I do like Minner from the Chargers because he reminds me of Macdonald in a way, in that, guys go down. You've seen this year. Guys go down on the defensive side in the secondary, the inside linebacker, and they just plug people in and they know what to do.
Well, Coach, I think the nice part is the Seahawks were gracious enough to give all us fans a bye week. So if your next Seahawks video is coming out on Monday, it has to be delayed a little bit. That's okay. We got a little extra time. So go check out all 22 films. Coach Derek, he's the man. Obviously, if you watch this far, by now. It's getting a master's class every single time you're on, Coach. So we definitely appreciate it, dude.
Still surprised to, people say stuff like that about me. It's a lot of fun producing this stuff, and I'm just glad to be able to do this for and with you guys at the same time. So appreciate it. Enjoy the run here, guys, because it's going to be fun.
Yes, we will. It's a good run up ahead. And yeah, go check out Coach Derek while you're at it. And gentlemen, I think with that,
There's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.